Good morning, good afternoon, guys. Welcome back to another Geek Tavern. As always, it's me, Sean. I'm joined by Mike
Hello.
and Aaron. And forgive me, I'm a little under the weather, so if I sound like shit, that's why. Uh, but today
You
we'll
sound
be...
like shit anyway.
Oh, that's what it is.
But
But anyway, we'll be talking about Mike's recommendation, The Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2, directed by Mark Webb, starring Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone as Peter Parker and Gwen Stacy.
Yep.
Emma
And-
Stone played Peter Parker.
Yeah.
Neat.
Yeah.
Today I learned.
It was a
Yeah.
bold choice by Mark Webb, but it worked out
It
perfectly.
did work. Yeah, I have to say.
Yeah, Andrew Garfield played a great Gwen Stacy.
He did. He really did. You really couldn't tell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good acting. He deserves an
Yes,
Oscar.
he really blended into the role.
He did. He really did.
But this is obviously a remake of Spider-Man. I guess it's just another version of it.
More of a
Technically a
reboot.
Yeah, reboot, yeah.
Yeah.
From 2012. It's the Spider-Man story we all know, except a little different, I guess.
Yeah.
Instead of Mary Jane, it's Gwen that Peter gets with.
If anything, it's more of the actual comic.
Yeah.
Really.
So
Yeah.
I brought this up to Sean. I don't know if you remember it, Mike, but
Yeah.
when they announced this movie,
Yeah.
did you too think that it was part of the MCU? And then everyone is like, no, it's a Sony one.
So at this time, I didn't get into the MCU till much later to like really understand it all.
Okay.
So I knew this wasn't part of it. So like
I just remember being like, why isn't it?
yeah.
I was like, they did Thor, they did Hulk, they did Captain America, they did.
I think it was around
they
this
did
time I
Avengers.
started to dig into that stuff. So like I kind of
I mean, it came out the same year as Avengers.
And it came
Right.
out after Avengers,
Yeah.
which is, I think, why some people were like, like
Oh, okay.
thinking, is it? Because it's after Avengers.
yeah.
But
Well, I think when I started getting into it, because Avengers was about the time I started to really actually care.
Yeah.
I had seen Iron Man and whatever, but I said, I don't know. I didn't care. But I think I asked the question, why is this not part of it?
Yeah.
And so that's probably why.
we never got the answer.
Yeah.
Of course, we might.
Studio
Until
stuff.
We might
Yeah.
in December, but
but it's,
It is December.
so it is.
But yeah, so the first one is, like you said, it's the Spider-Man story we all know, the death of Uncle Ben.
Which, let's talk about one scene in particular for a minute, where they couldn't. I mean, I guess they never say the quote in the comics, so
Yeah.
it worked better for the comics. But we were watching it, and when Uncle Ben is talking to Peter, and he's like, "If you have the ability to do good things, you have a responsibility to do those good things." And I went, "I guess what I'm trying to say, Peter, is with great power comes great responsibility."
I, for one, think that they did that scene really well without just plain copying
Yeah.
from the Sam Raimi
Yeah,
ones.
Well, which actually that quote is never in the comics.
Yeah.
Great power comes great responsibility is never in the comics.
That was
People-
original to talk or
to Sam Raimi's
Yeah.
Spider-Man. Yes, and people always think they're like, "Oh, it's from the comic." No, it's not.
Yeah.
It's not.
yeah.
I forget what the quote actually is, but I've had multiple people tell me it's not in the comics.
Yeah.
Like, so
I'm sure
no.
I'm sure he says something in the comics.
Oh, yeah. That's definitely, like, the thing that they get across. I mean, they kind of do the same thing in the MCU whenever Spider-Man is talking to Iron Man, and
Yeah.
it's like, he basically says the same thing in this
Yeah.
movie. It's like, if you have the ability to help people, and then you don't, then, you have to live with that.
Right.
Basically. But I think that this is a great version too. I was telling Aaron yesterday. So Peter isn't directly responsible for Uncle Ben's death in this movie, unlike in the Sam Raimi ones where he is literally directly responsible for his death.
He's kind of
He is
kind of
It's
really ran
more-
away.
yeah, but it's Ben's decision to follow him. Where
true.
Yeah.
And
so
true.
I also, before we get too in depth with this, I want to let's talk about the cast first before we
Okay,
go into the depth of the story, because I know we can talk about this, but we should probably lay out the cast. So we have Uncle Ben played by Martin Sheen, Sally Field plays Aunt May, Is it Reese Iffens? I always forget how to pronounce his name. Reese Iffens is Dr. Curtis Connors, the lizard.
Oh, okay.
And then we have, I almost said Chris Cooper, but that's the next one.
Yeah.
We watched them back to back, so they kind of just like blended straight together. But yeah, that's our main cast of characters. Now we can talk.
Yeah. What were you going to say about Uncle Ben?
How
Peter
it was
is
his,
not directly.
Yeah, he's not responsible. Peter isn't directly responsible.
Right.
For his
Okay.
death.
He is responsible, not directly.
Yeah.
responsible.
Where he still didn't stop the guy.
Well, yeah. I mean, what was he gonna do? Just like.
But it wasn't like he just beat up Randy Macho Man Savage and then like.
Yeah.
But if anything, I think this is a much more emotional version of the Uncle Ben, just because we see him get shot.
Yeah, we see him get shot.
You know, so we see everything going down. So I think it is a little bit more emotional.
So I made this discovery. I was thinking about both of the movies today, and my thought relates to both of them.
Mm-hmm.
But I was thinking about it. The one aspect of these movies that I don't really like is this like corporate espionage like understory in both of them, because Dr. Connors was a work associate with Richard Parker,
right.
Peter's father, and then like they were in some dirty science basically, or I guess it was just the Oscorp that was going to sell their shit. But it's like, but like throughout both these movies, it's like there's all this like seedy under wraps stuff, like dealing with it. I never really saw Spider-Man as a story like that. I always just kind of saw it as a kid just trying to make his way through daily life,
right?
Like just while being Spider-Man.
Yeah, I almost tie it into like with the Michael Bay Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Like, why did April have to own the turtles? Like, that bullshit was dumb.
Yeah.
I do think it's dumb that like only Peter Parker could turn into Spider-Man because of his DNA being tied to it.
Yeah. I think that
so
was
the whole storyline with his dad, not so much the Kirk Connors thing, but like that whole thing with being bit by the spider, and it would only work with him anyway, and I don't necessarily like that.
Yeah,
I never really did.
Yeah, that doesn't work for me. What does work for me though is Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone's chemistry in this movie.
Oh my god,
is off the charts.
And both of them, really.
Yeah. Like they're so good together, like on screen. Oh my god.
And by the second one, they were officially dating in real life.
Yeah.
Well, no longer.
Well, not now, but by the second movie.
Yeah. Their relationship is a little weird though. I don't know. Gwen acts kind of weird. She like is just like bouncing off of Peter though. They both have big awkward energy around each other until they finally do start dating. Then
the rooftop scene was kind of awkward, like after the dinner.
Yeah.
I mean, probably because she's probably a little pissed at him for like
just lashing out at him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, probably just as equally pissed at her dad for
it's just
slashing back,
taking the bait.
Yeah, that scene was just a terribly awkward.
Yeah,
like, I'm sure everybody's been there. They go to dinner with their girlfriends or their significant other's parents, and you're just like, get into something.
And it'd probably
like that.
be more awkward in from Peter's perspective, because like they weren't even dating.
Yeah,
so it's like he's just gone to a friend's house basically.
Yeah,
but clearly, it being somebody that they like each other a little bit,
Yeah, they started dating after that scene for sure.
Oh yeah, because he just tells her that he's Spider-Man.
I always find it funny that in pretty much every version, well, with the exception of the MCU version, Peter tells his girlfriend that he's Spider-Man before he tells Aunt May or like anyone else.
So that's one of the fun. I rewatched Tobey Maguire and the Andrew Garfield ones now in preparation for No Way Home, but I'm pretty sure that Aunt May knows both of them.
Well,
Like, it's never been more clear to me than my recent watch through.
I know for a fact that Aunt May knows in Raimi Spider-Man, like we had this discussion, obviously, but I'm
speech,
confident
like, when he's
that
backing
she,
up.
yeah,
Yeah.
that she knows that he's Spider-Man. I kind of got that a little bit in Amazing Spider-Man 2,
At the end.
or at least at the end of this movie.
I noticed it quite a bit in the first one.
Yeah.
Like, he's coming home broken, beaten, and
up.
scarred. Like, and
I did make the joke when he comes home in this movie with the eggs.
yeah.
And I was like, had to beat an old lady with a stick to get these eggs.
Yeah, he's like on death's door, and he's like, I got the egg.
They're probably all smashed by that point.
I thought he forgot the eggs, or did he get them?
He forgot
Got the eggs and then at the
After
end,
the final fight.
Okay, right.
He comes back with a box of eggs.
Yeah.
Yeah. I never really got the idea that Aunt May knew that he was. I thought that in the second one, but you could be right. She might have known at the end.
Like,
of the
she
first
did.
one.
She had to have been thinking something like, "It's kind of weird that
Well,
he's beaten up all the time."
Well, the thing that would tip me off is, okay, so there's a huge battle going on in New York, right? So she's probably trying to call him, and he's not picking up his phone, and then he just shows up looking like he just got the holy hell beat out of him, and he's like, "Got the eggs." Like,
He's got a sense of humor.
But I found myself even thinking with rewatching this one, like the whole high school thing, like as if the cops wouldn't be like, "Why the hell is Kurt Connors here?"
Yeah.
Two, like, what was it that? Oh, just cameras around the school.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up because, like, even in our school in the year 2012, this was released, and it like happens in.
Yeah.
Even in our school, we had some pretty top tier like surveillance
And
cameras.
that was still there when I was there in 08.
Yeah, and like Peter is just straight up fighting the lizard with his Spider-Man powers, just like in his street clothes, and then he gets thrown through the wall and he comes out as Spider-Man.
Right.
But it's like, if anybody was like, what? I mean, the police would scour that too.
But
like,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like later on, they would watch it.
Yeah, and they'd be like, "Oh, Peter Parker is the Spider-Man. Arrest him immediately."
Right.
You know?
Call him down to the principal's office tomorrow.
so let's talk about Kurt Connors' motivation here for a little bit.
I feel like he was a little bit. I feel like they did a little bit of the Goblin-esque thing from Raimi's, because like.
He injected himself and kind of got power crazy.
Yeah, well, I mean, he was literally having like an inner monologue, like the lizard was having an inner monologue when he was in his human form.
Yeah.
So I feel like it was
very
corrupting him.
Yeah.
Because
very
obviously, Dr. Connors he wants to, save people's lives. Sure, restoring his own arm would be a benefit to that, but after he injects it, like he is pushed to the limit because Oscorp is going to shut him down. So he's like, okay, well, I guess now's my last chance, and then YOLO.
yeah, instead of Oscorp being shut down.
Yeah. yeah, the opposite. Actually.
Yeah.
And then, so and then after he transforms into the lizard, it's like, just like this whole mentality takes over for him. And then it becomes no longer trying to save humanity, but evolving them into a ultra superior species.
Lizard man.
Yeah.
Which is just kind of ironic.
Yeah. It's funny, whenever Peter goes to visit Dr. Connors after he gets shut down and like everybody's gone out of the office, and he's like it's whenever he finds out that Dr. Connors is the lizard after their first encounter on the bridge.
Mm-hmm.
And he is like he's like talking to him. He's like, "Oh, I'm just curious about this new species that's around New York." And like Dr. Connors is like, oh so subtly, basically telling him that he's like, it's an alpha species. And it's like, oh, are they dangerous? Only if threatened.
Why? Do you want to fight me right now?
It's almost like he knew that Peter was Spider-Man, but obviously he didn't yet.
Yeah.
Which he finds out in the next scene.
Right, because he finds the camera.
He finds this camera. I gotta say, I really like that scene where like Peter like puts all the lines up and he's just like waiting, and then all the lizards come and then go that way.
Yeah.
But it is stupid that he has his name on this camera.
Oh, yeah. And it just leaves it there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he was
Well, he was washed away.
Yeah.
I guess it wasn't really.
Yeah, it wasn't really his fault that it was still there.
Yeah.
It is his fault that his name is on it.
Let's talk about Peter being smart and stupid for a minute. Namely, his going into Oscorp, sneakily following around the one guy, not sneakily, just following him around, and then going into rooms that he shouldn't without proper protection.
Yeah, he sees the two guys come out with hazmat
Right.
and then he just walks.
I never
Proceeds to
thought of
walk
that.
into a reactor room or whatever, and then opens the door inside that clean room and goes like right in with the spiders and everything.
Yeah, that was such a, I don't even understand that move.
Yeah.
Like, I get he's a curious kid.
So
But he's supposed to be smart.
Yeah.
We're supposed to believe he's smart, and he does something that stupid.
So the webs, he stole those.
Did he steal them, or did he ask Kurt Connors for samples and then reverse engineer?
He stole them because he found them right with the spiders, I believe.
But then he started working for Connors, so I don't think that he stole them. I think he asked.
I don't know.
Kurt to
It's
give him-
strange because he like looks up, or he like sees a video on it, and then in the next scene, it's like it looks like it was mailed to him. It like came in a box.
Oh,
Which shouldn't that have tipped off Kurt anyway? That like if he gave Peter that stuff, like if he was like, "Oh yeah, I'll get it for you,"
yeah, I totally missed that every time I watched it.
Yeah.
I don't even remember it being mailed.
but like
I mean, I don't know if it was mailed to him, but
He
it comes in
probably-
a box like it looked like Amazon shipped it to
Yeah.
his house.
well, he probably like got it from. That was my guess when he got it from Kurt. But if he got it from Kurt, and Kurt is fighting him, instead of taking Peter's camera and looking at it, wouldn't it have tipped you off noticing that all the lines were made out of the tensile like webbing that your company produces? And you're like, wait a minute, didn't I give some of this to Peter Parker? And be
Yeah,
like,
he would.
hmm.
Yeah, he would literally recognize it because it looks the same in the lab.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which I gotta say, I do like. Oh, okay.
Sorry.
I gotta say, I like
Up
how in this version, I mean, and also in the MCU, Peter actually just makes his web shooters.
Yeah.
Like, I think that the bio web shooters in the Raimi ones is fine, but I like.
How do you
I
think
like-
that feels coming out?
Probably weird.
I just thought about that. It's like
Yeah.
Probably be similar to like how Wolverine's claws feel going in and out. But I like it whenever Peter is like showcasing that he's a genius.
Mhm.
And in that once, like he literally builds this fucking thing out of nothing, and
Yeah.
it's like it withstands.
Out of a watch, I think.
Yeah.
It starts out as a watch.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
he makes some kind of trigger.
Yeah, I really like, and I like the look of it whenever he uses it because it like glows red on his wrist.
Yeah,
It's
it's got like a red LED or something.
yeah, I like that look.
Never noticed that until this watch through. A lot of things I didn't. Maybe I didn't remember. I guess maybe it's a better.
it's been a while since I've watched this,
Yeah.
both of these.
Well, I've watched the second one way more often than the first
Oh,
one.
yeah?
This is the first time I watched the first one in a long time.
Why?
We'll get there.
Yeah, we will.
Yeah. The one thing I guess I want to talk about, because this is a big thing I noticed with both of these, is the suit for the first one, and then we'll talk about the suit for the second one later. I really don't like the suit for this one.
I like it.
I think it's fine. I don't care for it as much as I do the second one. 'Cause
Yeah.
the second one's the more classic.
Yeah, I just like the second.
I appreciate what they tried to do with this one.
I really
I
like
just
it.
don't
I like the
much
look
care
of it.
for it.
I don't know what it is I don't like. I just don't like it. But
I think he looks. I don't know.
It looks spongy.
I don't. I don't like the
He looks
eyes.
slick whenever he's like going through the air, like
Yeah.
with the blue down the sides. I don't know. I like it.
No. I like the design. I appreciate what they did. I just like the classic look.
I mean, I don't like hate it,
No,
but
I don't
it's just
hate it
not my
either.
favorite.
No.
But something with the eyes, like maybe knowing that they were made out of sunglasses.
Maybe.
I don't know. Like I just
The eyes are weird.
something weird about the eyes.
In conjunction with the other Spider-Man suits, like if it was like the regular teardrop eyes, it would look fine, I think.
Yeah.
But they're just like more like slender. They're not the traditional
They
like
come to a point.
they do, but they're more like they should be turned more like up, but they're turned more like sideways and they look odd.
Yeah, some looks weird. I don't know.
It looks odd. I like the suit, but it's odd.
Yeah, so I guess that's all. On the
Yeah. Okay.
suit. I don't know.
I like the like we mentioned it briefly earlier, the kind of rivalry that Captain Stacy and Peter have,
Yeah.
because like obviously they have a confrontation at dinner, and then after his fight in the sewers with Dr. Connors, he goes to Captain Stacy, he's like, "Hey, Kurt Connors is this lizard thing, and you need to bring him in now." And Captain Stacy's basically like acting like he's a little moron kid. He's like, "Shouldn't you be in school?" And then after that, obviously the fight happens, and he's like, I want Spider-Man arrested now." And their final like climax, where he like reveals that he's Spider-Man, he's like, "What the fuck?" I don't know. I think that worked pretty well.
Yeah.
Yeah, that scene where he goes to the police station. We were watching it, and then he's like, bring up everything we have on Kurt Connors. And I was like, oh, he's got a parking ticket from 2004. You know what? I think that's enough. Bring him in. Go cuff him. Find him.
Yeah, find him. Bring him in.
They wouldn't have probably been able to find him anyway.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, he was living in the sewer.
His last known address is underneath Fifth Avenue.
Yeah. I guess he probably just took a bunch of stuff from Oscorp. Like I didn't know how he made those labs.
Yeah, just like made a lab in the middle of the sewer. That's a little strange.
I guess.
Yeah, how did he even get it down there? Like, was he like walking around like with stuff and asking somebody? He's like, "Excuse me, sir, can you open that manhole?"
Well, he clearly didn't. Like he would have had an arm missing.
No, so yeah, he has one arm, and
Yeah.
then he goes, "Excuse me, can you open that manhole cover, please?" I was like, "Okay."
I'm
Opens
thinking,
it up, and he just like, "Thanks," and just like hops his way down in.
I think it would have been nice to, because he probably would have done it as a lizard, but
Or was it the sewer under Oscorp? You just like open up a door and just like walk down.
Who knows?
yeah, I don't know.
Peter only finds it because he sees lizards, which is strange. Lizards like going into
Yeah,
the
why
sewer.
were the lizards like attracted to that way?
I don't know. He's our king.
Yeah, they want to go find the other lizard.
The lizard king.
Don't you know when you don't know how to lead your hero to the villain, you take smaller versions of the animal that is your villain and make him follow them?
I can't wait to see when they do that with the rhino. Take baby rhinos. Just walking through New York.
Scorpions.
Yeah, scorpions.
Yeah, if they're trying to find King Kong, like in the next King Kong reboot, it's just gonna be like monkeys like running. And then they're like, "What is that?" And then they walk up, they're like, "Oh my god, there he is! We never would have saw that." They do that in other movies too, and I'm like, why?
Yeah.
Why? There's no point. Or like spiders.
Well,
Harry
yeah.
Potter's a prime example. The little spiders leading their way to the
That one
giant
makes a little bit
spider.
more sense to me, just because
Well, yeah,
are
but-
kind of pack creatures, but
Yeah, I don't know if I guess I
Yeah,
keep doing that.
It's shifting.
The mic is getting away from Aaron.
No
I really-
tablecloth.
I gotta say, I really like the look of the lizard, though.
Yeah.
Like he has just enough human features for it to like not be.
I
It
think I
pissed a
still
lot
think
of people off.
I still
Why?
think the face is a little weird.
That's
because it's
why.
not like pointy.
Because it wasn't like traditional lizard.
I mean,
I mean, it doesn't have to be, but there
Well,
was
no, because
something
he's a
weird.
he wasn't supposed to become a lizard.
yeah, he's a
He was supposed to
lizard
become a
man.
humanoid like lizard man.
Yeah.
But it pissed people off. They're like, I don't like it. And it's like, why? It's unique.
Yeah, I think it's pretty. I mean, just the fact that his jaw like separates like the whole way upside his face—that's pretty terrifying, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, it's not pleasant, really,
Yeah.
to look at.
And then even whenever he turns back into a human, you see like I don't know if it's like a scarring but there's
Wow.
like evidence of like his face opening up that big.
Yeah. So let's go to the climax of this film.
Yeah.
There's a device. I'm gonna let you talk because I can't. I can't
Nobody can talk
speak
today.
I can't speak it as loudly as I normally would.
So yeah, Kirk Connors makes this device that he's gonna shoot up in the air.
The Ganali device, is that
Yeah.
what it's called?
Something like that.
That Richard developed it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Cloud burst.
yeah, basically just basically what Scarecrow is gonna do in Arkham Knight.
Yeah.
Just shoot this device in the air and like just cloud burst, and
Turn everyone into lizard.
turn everybody into lizards. And he has like little grenade versions
Yeah.
of them too.
That scene where he gets like gunned down by the SWAT team.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, he's dead. Like even though like he has regenerative
Yeah,
properties, it's like
I felt the same about that. Like
He at least was full of lead.
yeah, for sure.
he would be dead. Like I don't care what kind of lizard has what kind of regeneration. He's dead.
He like 8 to 10 people just unloaded like an entire magazine into him. Like he's dead. But then after that, he's just like and like throws those grenades.
Yeah.
And turns the SWAT team into lizard people. Except not entirely, which is strange.
Yeah, I don't know why they didn't fully like get there, you know.
Yeah. It's not like it was a quick between him doing that and the
there was time.
It was like at least a half hour.
Right. Maybe because it was done through the airway instead of like injecting.
Oh, maybe that could be why.
Yeah. So at some point, Peter Parker asked Gwen Stacy to go in and make an antidote because she basically has access, which I don't think an intern's going to have access, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah.
But so she's in there. Was she protecting that device to like trick him into taking it, or did she know that he was there for that device?
Peter calls her.
Okay.
Remember, and then she evacuates the building, and she's like, he said, he's coming for the cloudburst device. Like you gotta get out of there.
Okay.
And then
Proceeds to set off the halon system, and then stands there like a dumbass without a gas mask on.
yeah, she should have.
She should have been.
suffocated.
Yeah, she should have suffocated.
Oh, okay.
That stuff that would have put the fires out.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll kill you if you don't have a mask on.
Oh. Okay. I wouldn't.
We learned that from
Basically,
Terminator.
it just takes all the air out of it.
Oh. So anyway, she makes the antidote, and so when she gets out, she gives it to her dad.
Yeah.
Who proceeds to go back up on the roof.
Yeah, I guess he took the antidote and then was gonna go up there.
To which Sean and I were making the jokes about the other cop who was there, who basically was overhearing that Captain Stacy's daughter.
Your
was
boyfriend
dating
has many
Spider-Man.
masks.
Yeah, and like we came up with like this like fake thing where he's like, "Can't let you go up there, sir. We got to catch this spider guy." Like, it's like he's like, "You're disobeying a direct order." He's like, "What are we standing for? You wanted to catch him, and now we have him."
It's like completely
Rodriguez, you can't do this. Yeah,
Oh my.
would increase the drama, honestly.
Yeah.
I guess. Yeah. So Captain Stacy goes up there, and Spider-Man is fighting him. Not good at.
He breaks his web shooters.
Right.
And
right.
Is that before or after he's stabbed? I don't remember. Either way, like there's
Yeah,
liquid nitrogen on the roof for some reason.
Yeah.
For
And
some
then-
fucking reason.
And then Captain Stacy like shoots the tube and it like flies to
Right.
Peter. He
That's
grabs
right
it
after
and freezes him.
after Lizard crushes.
Yeah.
Which was very dangerous.
Yeah.
Like, he shot that, and, like, if Peter he's Spider-Man, so of course he caught it before it, like, hit him. But, like, if he had just been, like, a split second, like, slower, it would have just frozen his face
Froze
off.
him.
Yeah.
So Captain Stacy's taking like handling the lizard because he's being frozen with liquid nitrogen. And he's just like shooting the tops of other canisters of liquid nitrogen. I'm like, what are you doing, dude? That's gonna explode and kill us all.
Right.
You maniac? Are you insane? But
Yeah, so I assume
This guy was a police captain.
I assume that it just ran out of liquid nitrogen because he just stops being frozen and regenerates. I don't know why he regenerates so fast, because
it really is remarkably fast.
like it's
I like the
faster than
scene where
Wolverine.
he's like freezing his like hand and he's like shooting his hand off and it's like staying frozen. Like I thought that was cool.
Yeah,
But as
it's
soon
cool.
as it's like running out, he's like
Yeah, just instantly has another hand, and like that's where he stabs Captain Stacy, and just
Mark
kills
Webb
him.
was a Terminator 2 fan, I have a feeling.
must be.
Yeah,
And Peter gets the antidote and the cloudburst just in time for it to launch and heal everybody.
Yeah.
Which it's funny because Dr. Connors is like, yes, and then like the flakes start hitting him in the face, and he's like turning back to a human. He's like,
so like, it's really weird. Like, he's watching Peter as he goes up the thing, and then it's just like really quick. He goes, and just like it shoots up, and I'm like, you watched him switch the tubes. Like, why are you like it's gonna happen? And then it goes up, and he's like, it's blue. Like no shit,
it's
you
not
dumbass.
It's not green like my lizard juice.
It's like no shit, you dumbass. You just watched him change the tube out.
Yeah.
You sat there. You're like, but yeah, and then the Ganali Tower like collapses and everything, and then Peter's about to,
because it's still frozen,
Yeah.
unlike the lizard.
yeah. So Peter like starts to like roll off the roof, and then he's like hanging there, and then he like almost lets go, which he would have lived anyway because he could have like stopped on the building because he has like the super grippy powers. But then like Kurt catches him and he's like holding him with his arm, and I said to Sean, I was like, I've got bad news, Peter. This is the arm that's gonna disappear.
Yeah.
He saves him with his human hand.
Yeah.
So, weird thing that just popped in my head about Kirk Connors having his right hand back for a couple of the scenes. When he first grew it, when he goes to get into a cab, he grabs with his right hand. He wouldn't have.
Yeah, he wouldn't have.
Because he's used to not having a right hand.
Yeah, he wouldn't have. It's like 30 plus years of him not using that
Right.
hand. It just instinctually, he would have grabbed with the other
Yeah,
hand.
would not have happened.
Yeah.
I instantly, just like catching Spider-Man, that's what made me think of it.
Yeah.
He wouldn't have, he still wouldn't have used his right hand.
Yeah, because I said to Sean, I was like, he tried with the lubed hand that he had, and it wouldn't grip or something, and then he like tried to open it with the.
But it like hurt because it was still growing or something.
Yeah, it was still fresh. Which is funny. It's kind of strange that it's like human at first, and then I guess it's like by the time he's in the cab, he's like turning into the lizard. But the
That's
rat,
where it fully starts turning in.
yeah, but the rat was like a rat for like 3 days before it turned into the lizard thing.
Yeah,
So that just
there's a lot of inconsistencies with like how the science works.
Yeah, and then Connor's like, when Peter shows up, Connor's just like disappears, and he's like, "All right, see you, Peter." And then like Peter like looks, and there's like the rat eating the other one, and I'm like, I hope nobody walks past his office and is like, "What the fuck is that?" Like, they called security. You gotta come up here and kill this thing. I don't know what the fuck it is.
Yeah,
It's not your normal rat. This is
an
a
advanced rat.
Looks like an armadillo. Come fucking kill this.
But it seems like Kurt gets some of his humanity back because he's like, oh,
Right.
the captain, I stabbed him.
yeah.
And Peter confronts him. And after all of their confrontation between, Captain Stacy and Peter, he's like, you're a good kid. I'm going to die. Keep doing what you're doing. But people that you love are going to get hurt. So leave my daughter the fuck out of it.
Yeah.
You have to promise me that. And
Yeah.
then he's like, okay, I promise. And then that is, yeah, fingers crossed. It's like,
I promise.
it's a problem for the end of the movie because obviously Gwen's pissed that he didn't show up to his funeral
Yeah.
and like other stuff. It's like, she knew though. She's like, he made you promise not to be with me, didn't he?
Yeah.
And then, and that's like the entire, like, their complication in the entire second movie. It's just like Peter feeling guilty.
He's having like full on hallucination.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's seeing Dennis Leary disappointingly looking at him, and like that's the best part. It's like Dennis Leary doesn't like they have flashback, but when he's standing there, he's always just looking like this, like he's just disappointed. Like,
Yeah.
you motherfucker, what did I tell you?
Yeah. You made a promise, kid.
But yeah, that's pretty much all there is to say about the first movie, except for the botched after credit scene where it was attempting to build something that obviously
I
never
did. I
happened.
forgot this even had one.
It's Kurt Connors in prison, and then some dude with a hat comes in and is talking to him.
Mr.
Oh right,
Fingers.
because that
Mr. Pierce.
that continues in the second one.
Yeah. But
That
that's
was,
the
that
first
was
movie.
building to the sinister.
Oh, we forgot to talk about the part of the movie that is the stupidest part of the movie for me.
Okay.
And this pissed a lot of people off when it came out. It doesn't like make me angry. It's just like, this is so dumb. all the construction workers turning their cranes
Yeah.
over like Fifth Avenue or wherever so that Spider-Man can swing to.
How does that make
Oscorp.
it any easier than
Yeah.
just the building
Well,
lines
that-
up?
that's
Yeah, exactly.
that's what we were saying too. Is like whenever they're like, hey, you working overtime? The guy would probably just be like, fuck you, fuck Spider-Man. I'm going home to beat my wife and drink a beer. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
like that's what they would do. They're like, no, I'm not fucking going back up in that crane I've been in for 12 hours today.
Like, this is obviously the scene in this movie where it's like,
It wouldn't even
Yeah.
be overtime. It'd be
Yeah.
like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Like,
it's like, yeah, New York stands behind Spider-Man. Like, that's that scene in this movie.
yeah.
Because, like, the Sam Raimi ones, at least the first and the second one, have that where it's like, if you want to get to Spider-Man, you got to go through us,
Yeah.
type of shit.
Or like them throwing the
Yeah.
fucking the Green Goblin.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, like that one's good, and the
You
train
mess
one.
with one of us, you
You
mess
mess
with
with
all
all
of
of
us. But it's like that is what this scene is trying to be for this movie. It's like, yeah, the workers in New York stand for Spider-Man, and it's
Yeah,
like it just doesn't work.
It doesn't work because we're 10 years removed from 9/11 and nobody gives a shit.
Yeah, exactly. Nobody gives a
Yeah.
fuck about anybody
Yeah.
anymore.
That's an excellent point.
That's why we don't even put them in movies today. 'Cause-
Yeah.
Yeah, but what about 9/11? The fuck are you talking about? I've been in that crane for 10 fucking hours. I'm going home.
I'm going home.
But Spider-Man.
Spider-Man can crawl to Oscorp for all I fucking care.
I mean, there's not gonna be like, yeah, it wasn't like it was a fucking Christmas miracle or some shit like that. Like,
It wasn't like all the buildings were collapsed and he had no way to
Yeah,
get there.
like he still could have totally made it there without like them lay-upping the cranes in front of him, but I don't
yeah,
know.
it didn't make any sense.
we gotta make sure it's on point for him to get to Oscorp. And it's like, no, he can fucking shoot off the top of the buildings. It's okay. He'll still make it the same
He
way.
won't make it.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if Spider-Man's gonna make it because it's after fucking one of Captain Stacy's dude shoots him in the leg.
I don't know if he's gonna make it. He's limping.
And then nothing ever.
His
really
arms
comes
aren't
of that.
damaged, but he's limping.
I mean, that happens solely for this construction worker.
Yeah,
scene.
yeah.
And then after that, he doesn't act like affected by it at
Nope.
all.
Nope.
So it's like that's the
I
only.
mean,
thing that
adrenaline
matters.
would take over. But
Yeah.
at some point, they should have been like he should have been like, oh shit, my leg.
Yeah.
So, Mike, you'll appreciate this. Whenever Spider-Man he misses his point to shoot,
Oh yeah.
and he falls down behind the building, I was like, he's gonna come back up on a DeLorean.
That was a very very reminiscent scene of that.
Yeah. Or it was Goblin gonna come up.
Yeah.
And go, hello, my dear.
Well, I guess it's time for ratings of the first movie.
It sucked.
It doesn't suck.
It
It's a fine movie.
is.
It's so like I'll say like it's a 7.5 out of 10.
Okay.
Like I think it's obviously not as good as the Raimi movies. I think that Andrew Garfield is a great Spider-Man. I like him a lot, but some of the shit just doesn't work for me.
He's
Yeah.
not a good Peter Parker.
He's not a good Peter Parker.
That's what I was just gonna get into a little bit was he's a better Spider-Man.
Oh, yeah.
His wittiness is
Oh yeah, he's so much better
Much
as
more on
Spider-Man. But like, I don't know. Like his Peter Parker is like kind of a cool guy.
Yeah, he's like a
Peter
skater
Parker's
kid.
not
He's
a cool. Peter Parker is not a cool guy.
No.
So
like the fact that he doesn't start out with glasses even.
yeah,
Yeah.
Like, well, I wear contacts.
you,
Well, then you're cool.
loser. But yeah, that's my. It's just not as good. It's still good, but it's just not as good as those movies. So
Yeah.
that's why it's 7.5 for me.
Yeah. I'm gonna give it a 7. And honestly, I wish I knew what I rated the Raimi movies.
I know. I was kind of thinking that too.
But I'm gonna give it a 7. It's adequate. It's entertaining. It has its moments of absolute stupidity, but it also has its moments of memorability and all that.
The fight scenes are pretty good.
Yeah.
It's a movie that usually, if I rate a movie above a 7 or a 7 or above, I will rewatch that movie. It has staying power with me. So I'm gonna give it a 7 and leave it at that.
Yeah. I'm gonna echo your 7 as well. Actually, I think the Gwen Stacy Peter Parker
That's the best
stuff,
part of the movie.
like
for
that's
me,
the best
honestly.
part of the movie. Like I don't know, maybe I'm just infatuated with Emma Stone. I don't know, but like she just kills it in this movie. So yeah, bring her in as Spider-Gwen.
Yeah. We'll see about
That'd
that.
be crazy.
She would be a very good Spider-Gwen.
I think she would be. Anyway, on to The Amazing Spider-Man 2, which came out 2 years later in the year of 2014.
Not to be confused with Spider-Man 2, which is a good movie.
So I think this film takes place a year after the events of the first movie, because the opening scene is Gwen and Peter graduating,
Right.
which
Stanley.
they were already talking about in the first one, that Dr. Connors gave Gwen a college recommendation. So they're clearly like seniors.
Yeah.
So it's either like the same year or just like a year from then. But
They probably, I don't know. They probably, at the end of the first movie, they were probably close to the end of like 11th grade.
yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
And then, yeah. So yeah, probably a year-ish.
Going back real quick to the first one, we kind of glossed over after the funeral when she shows up to Peter's house and she's like, "My dad died," and he's like, He's like, "There's a funeral." Like, this is like a month after like all this stuff happened. It's like, no, I'm aware, totally aware of that. Like, he's just like, I mean, he's not trying to be an asshole, but he is an asshole because he's trying to like make her go away.
Well, I think he was trying, like, he just kind of shut down to the whole thing.
Yeah.
Like, he didn't want to say anything to her because he knew if he spoke, he would immediately go back on his promise. So I think that's what...
Which he does.
Which he does.
Literally, the final scene of the movie is him saying that promises you can't keep are the best promises to make.
Yeah.
They're the best kind or something.
Yeah, those are the best kind.
Those are the best kind. And then it's just Dennis Leary just like...
that meme.
Yeah.
That meme, dude.
meme dude where he's like... and he's just rolling in his grave.
Yeah. But, so, Amazing Spider-Man 2, a year after the events of the first one, Peter and Gwen are still an item at this point.
Right.
They're graduating, and Peter is obviously having trouble balancing that life and Spider-Man's life because he barely shows up at the graduation ceremony. And then we follow Max Dillon, who is a loner employee of Oscorp, an electrical engineer, and they're just like...
Here is my one issue. Let's start a countdown here. This just completely copies the Riddler's backstory from Batman Forever.
Okay.
To a T.
I have heard this before.
So, yeah, he's a loner, creep, weirdo.
I feel bad for him.
Yeah, he's a... Like, we'll get to the scene, but he's like a genuinely, like, sympathetic character at points. He has a terrible accident at Oscorp because nobody gives a fuck about him, and he transforms into Electro. And then Norman Osborn dies, and Harry Osborn takes over the company. And then, obviously, because Spider-Man is connected to every major villain personally in his life for some reason.
Very personally.
They're just like, there's a clash between those two worlds. And that's what this movie is. A clash.
So...
Yeah, it's a clash, all right.
So I don't know where we should start.
Let's talk about Paul Giamatti's awful performance in this movie.
He was hamming it up. He was having a great time.
He might have been hammered, for all we know.
I don't know. I thought it was funny.
I thought it was stupid.
That's the Rhino guy, right?
Yeah, he's the Rhino.
Okay.
Which I like Rhino. Rhino's a cool character.
I like Rhino when he's voiced by Brad Garrett.
Yes! That's the type of Rhino that I'm used to.
I mean, Rhino is pure comedy relief.
Which is stupid, because Rhino is like, he's like the Hulk or Juggernaut. Like, he's not supposed to be laughable. Like, if he steps in, you're like, Spider-Man's gonna get fucking killed.
Like, even in the PS1 Spider-Man game, like, he's just funny. Because you literally have to, when you fight him, there's like these electronic pillars. I don't know what they are. But like, you got to make him charge into him. And you just stand behind him and he just runs into him because he's an idiot.
Oh yeah, no. He's an idiot, but like making him like a Russian mobster was just kind of like stupid. In my opinion, it was just kind of...
It was a strange choice, but whatever. It's cool. Like that
Ah,
first
it's
that
funny.
first scene is like basically set up for the ending, which I don't know. The movie is kind of structured weird in that because I guess they thought they were gonna make a million movies, but
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, and then you have like, I guess it's just like I'm like Paul Giamatti, award-winning actor Paul Giamatti, everyone, and he's just like being stupid, like, and not even like convincingly stupid because you've seen Paul Giamatti in so many other things. Like it was just like he walked onto set and he's like, "This is fucking dumb," and just like immediately just like started doing this, and Mark Webb's like yeah, like and he's
No,
like, "Oh, you like that? Okay."
We found out why the movie isn't that great. It's because it was written by Alex Kurtzman.
That's right. Which, if you know who Alex Kurtzman is, he wrote the J.J. Abrams Star Trek reboots and has written all of Star Trek's
Since then.
most of Star Trek's series and lore since then.
Huh.
Yeah. Not a lot of people like Alex Kurtzman.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that
I like those movies.
I was gonna say the movies. Are good,
I like the
but the TV shows are supposed to be awful.
Picard started strong and then it lost me. And I was like, no.
I didn't even try, so
It lost me.
it must be because I don't have a point of reference to that guy. But I forget his name already.
Paul Giamatti.
I think it was Giamatti something.
Like take Fred Claus, for instance.
Okay.
Or even Tim Burton's Tim Burton's Planet of the Apes. Night and day.
Anyway, so it must be because I have no point of reference. Like, it never bothered me because I'm like, it's Ryan.
I like Paul Giamatti in basically everything he's in. So like, yeah, this performance is a little cringe, but I like it still.
I think how that scene hit me and why I don't care for it that much is because the first Spider-Man had its moments of humor, but this was pure camp at the opening. And I was like, whoa, back up. Like, we can throw the camp in there, but you're
it's
just
the
making
only,
it
it's
entirely
literally the
camp.
only campy part of the whole movie. The rest of it takes itself terribly seriously.
That's true. No, and I think that's why I didn't like it, is because it was so polarizing. Because it was like extreme camp, extreme drama, and it's like you cannot just like butt those up against each other.
Yeah, that's why the originals work so well, because there's so much levity mixed in with the seriousness.
Yeah. So one of the big things, I'll start with, I do enjoy this movie. I think there is redeeming qualities.
I think it's
of
too
this movie.
long.
It's a little long.
I can agree with that. Just like what we kind of talked on with the first one, like, I don't give a shit about his parents.
Oh yeah,
like,
yeah. Oh, that's the stuff that could get cleaned
like
out.
that shit just is dumb.
Yeah.
Like the fact.
Yeah, because like in the Raimi movies, Peter has like no interest in like.
Yeah, he doesn't care. He's like,
yeah.
I don't remember him basically.
Uncle Ben and Aunt May are my parents.
Yeah.
And then, which is funny because it's like it's less so like he doesn't say it as much in the first one, but like Peter is saying it like pretty consistently between these two films, and it's still like a point of contention where it's like, yeah, you are my mom basically, but I still want to know about my dad and my mom, and Aunt May is just like so offended by that.
Yeah.
It almost reminds me of Hey Arnold, where he's like trying to find out like where his parents went.
Yeah.
There's like that subplot there, and it's like, what? No, why?
Yeah, the whole Richard Parker stuff doesn't work for me at all in this movie.
Yeah, like it. Yeah.
And actually, the beginning of this movie is almost copy paste the opening of the first one, because it's still him like doing his video diary, and it's literally like picks up right, like it's in real time with like Peter walking through the house and then seeing that and yelling like "Dad!" Like it's that happening at the same time, and then it's just like building on that, and it's like, but why? We didn't care in the first one.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah.
It was inconsequential in the first one.
Yeah, because like you saw that, and then they disappeared, and then he finds like the decay rate algorithm.
Yeah,
and that's the only thing that like mattered, and you're like, oh, okay. But then they like build on that. And it's like, why? Stop like trying to like shoehorn this back in.
Yeah, because you would have seen the rest of the stuff and been like, what do you thought?
Yeah,
like
the only reason that this part of the movie is in, so in the first one, it's there so that Peter can create the lizard. In the second one, it's there so that Harry and Peter can have like conflict,
Right.
and basically creating the Goblin.
Yeah. I don't know in Spider-Man's origin, like comic book wise, or even in the Sam Raimi ones. Do we know how old Peter Parker was when the parents?
They never bring it up because
Okay.
it doesn't matter.
Because like he doesn't seem to remember them, so like
Yeah.
I wonder if they kind of up-aged him a little bit to where he does remember them in these ones. Which anyway, it's all dumb. It's bullshit.
Yeah.
But one of the other things I don't like about this movie is Harry Osborne.
I hate Harry Osborne. I hate Dane DeHaan. I hate Dane DeHaan. There's not one performance that I have seen of his that I like. Maybe Chronicle might be the only tolerable one.
I've never seen it.
He is annoying as shit in this movie.
Yeah.
He is not a good actor in this role.
No.
Like, the way that he talks is, it's like, are you reading your lines off a teleprompter and, like, trying to... Are you voice acting right now? Because there's, like, a couple of times where he, like, says something, and if I close my eyes, I'd be like, that's believable. But then you see his face, and it's like, you're not acting.
Yeah.
He looks like a corpse.
He does, yeah.
Yeah.
Put a pair of sunglasses on him, and you just go to ADR and all the lines in.
There was a scene with him with sunglasses in there.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like him.
I like him a little bit. There's some parts of the movie where he's a little charming, but other than that, him in the elevator with Gwen, I found that a little charming. But other than that, he is just a whiny brat.
Well,
Yeah.
when Peter goes to visit him, for some fucking reason, to like get back into Oscorp, I guess.
No, I mean they were best friends before he got shipped off to boarding school, and then it's only been 8 years.
No, it was 10 years.
No, Harry thinks it's 10 years, but Peter corrects him, saying it's
Oh.
only been 8 years.
Oh, so like they go, and he's like talking to him and everything, and well, no. Okay, so this is a couple years. Wait a minute, is it a couple years? Because Harry says he's 20.
Yeah. So
they graduate at the beginning of this movie. Wait a minute, timeline doesn't sync up here, or are they separate? Are him and Gwen separated for like a year or more?
maybe
The timeline doesn't make sense in this movie.
Yeah.
Unless there's like a huge time.
there must be a time jump that isn't clear because
if Harry's 20, then that means Peter's 20 or
Yeah.
19, something like that. So like there's a big jump.
there's at least a year.
At least a year jump. Yeah.
Hmm.
Get your shit right, Mark Webb. So like that scene where he goes to visit him and then he's like, I don't have time, man. I gotta run a company and everything. And he's like, okay, cool, well, just wanted to stop by and say sorry about your dad. Then he's like, you got your braces off. And I was like, yeah, no fucking shit. It was like 10 years ago. I'm not going to wear them into my 20s. Like, it was just like, I know he was like trying to just like break the ice and make it less awkward. But I was like, fuck, man. Like,
growing up, I had a couple really close friends like who I don't know. I don't believe that they're
reconnect after 8 years.
they're not going to reconnect. Like, let's just be honest.
well, yeah, because like you're definitely not that person
Yeah,
that you were.
yeah.
So, yeah,
Especially if there's that much
yeah.
gap.
yeah, it's definitely going to be difficult.
Yeah,
Like I've had friends like from elementary school who I've never even talked to anymore.
right.
So
And if you saw them now,
I'd probably say hi, like, hey,
Yeah,
how's it
yeah,
going?
hey,
but
what's
like
up?
you're not gonna be. It's not gonna be like, hey, let's get a beer sometime. And it's
Yeah.
like, no,
I don't know you.
We don't know each other like
Yeah.
that anymore.
Right.
let's get beer sometime. If you had asked me when we were 5, absolutely.
So yeah, Harry and the Goblin as a character, probably the weak. I mean, aside from the parentage stuff, probably the weakest part of this movie.
Oh yeah.
We haven't really talked about Electro. I know a lot of people didn't like Jamie Foxx and as Electro
I
in
think
this
he's
movie.
fine.
I thought he was
I think
great.
he's a pretty good
Yeah.
like I really didn't like it at first when I saw it back in 2014, but revisiting it now, I'm pretty sure this is the only second time I've seen the movie.
Yeah.
But revisiting it now, he's a good it's a relatable character. I
Yeah.
mean, maybe not relatable, but like sympathetic character.
Right.
You want him to and like especially after he first shows up after he dies.
Because you understand his motivation.
Yeah.
That's what.
I mean,
makes him
he's a
good
little
character.
he's a little cooked, but
Yeah.
like you know,
He's kooked, but you understand where he's coming from.
yeah.
Like he's
Like,
like, I've
people
been
don't-
shit on
yeah.
it for years. Like, and now I have
And
the power
basically,
to
the
do
cop,
something about it.
the cops basically made him evil.
Yeah. Like Spider-Man at the scene in Times Square, Spider-Man was talking him down.
And
He's
he
like,
was
yeah.
gonna be fine.
Yeah, and then like he's like, oh yeah, I don't know what's wrong with me. Like he's Spider-Man's like, yeah, I know you're scared, you're angry, you don't know what's happening. Like that would be terrifying. Thinking that like first of all, what happened to him was awful, but like
Yeah, he got Catwoman.
yeah, you'd think that you would like he probably thought he was dead. He wakes up, he's like made of electricity.
Yeah.
I have no idea what the fuck is happening.
His vision is completely messed up.
Yeah,
Like,
he's like, I don't know what's wrong with me, and he's like, okay, we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. And the cops are like, he moves an inch, take a shot, and then he takes a step back into a puddle and freaks out for a second, and they fucking shoot him with like a 50 caliber sniper rifle,
And then he vaporizes the dude.
Yeah, it's and then like after that scene, he's like, oh, you were just setting me up, and he's like, the animosity towards Spider-Man grows
Right.
and everything. Undercut.
he takes the spotlight.
Yeah. Yeah. Undercut by the worst score I've ever heard in my entire life. Because
I
it's
was
like
literally just about to say that.
it's like Pharrell Williams going like, he used me. It's like a whispering.
Yeah, he's like, they shot at me, and now they are my enemy. Like it's the fucking stupidest thing ever.
Yeah, it's horrible. It's literally the
Okay,
worst thing
so-
ever.
I don't know why. I thought that was pretty fucking cool when I was in the theater. Like,
Oh,
I don't know why.
I mean, I get
It's
it. Like
unique.
I get
Because like
it. It's
the
like his
music
inner
goes with
monologue.
his electricity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it all ties in. I thought it was neat, but
I think it's a choice.
It is a choice. I don't support it.
I
Though.
don't necessarily know that it's a good choice. Like I said, as an artist, I can appreciate what they were trying to do.
yeah.
I don't much care for it. I thought it was stupid. Like
I
I'm
mean,
watching
it's
it,
not
and
going to work in any other movie.
No. But it was so jarring in this movie that I'm like, why? Why do you think that was a good idea?
Like in the theater, I thought it sounded really cool.
So technically, this movie is the first Spider-Man musical.
I mean, that's fine.
Technically,
Oh my god.
it's a character singing
Yeah.
via inner monologue or whatnot.
But that wasn't Jamie Foxx. That was Pharrell Williams.
Yes, but it's like his inner monologue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. The other
It's a
portions
musical.
of the
Look it
score,
up.
the other portions of the score work okay for me, but that is like so distracting and what an odd choice.
It is very strange.
They hated me. They shot at me. And it happens more than once.
Yeah.
Like I don't even hate I know a lot of people gave shit to the like at the end whenever he's playing the itsy bitsy spider.
Yeah, I
I
think
thought
that's
that
just
was
cool.
I like that.
Yeah.
That's just
I like
cool
that.
too.
In a minor key,
Yeah.
so it's like menacing. Like,
Yeah.
no,
And
it's
even
good.
like the dubsteppy like soundtrack that like is associated with Electro, I like that. But like that other shit just doesn't work. I don't know, it doesn't work.
I mean, yeah, it's all subjective. I'm not gonna throw fists over at you guys.
Fair enough.
Or vice versa, I hope, because I'm gonna be the one in the minority.
That's true.
But
I mean, I don't hate this movie. I think it's okay. There are big flaws with it though.
oh yeah, no, and I totally agree with the flaws. I just do think that there is redeeming things in this.
Oh no! Don't get me wrong. There are redeeming things in this movie.
Like
There's not a
I
lot.
don't know why the internet, like for several years after this movie came out, before we had Tom Holland, like people destroyed this
They
movie.
don't like it for the sole fact that it isn't Tobey Maguire and
Yeah.
Sam Raimi's movie. That's the only reason they
Well,
don't
like that's not even my
But they were on board with
biggest
the
problem
first
with
one.
it. My biggest complaint with this movie is it, because I guess you could say Rhino could be. I always felt that this movie, and upon rewatching, I don't feel it as much. But my problem that I always had with this movie was I felt it suffered from Spider-Man 3 syndrome.
Oh
There's
yeah,
way too many villains
there's too much shit
and way
going
too
on.
much.
There
going-
is a lot. There's a lot of shit going on.
There's like 4 or 5 storylines.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At the same
it's
time.
it's Max
shit.
Dillon,
Okay.
and then the parent shit, and then Gwen and Peter's whole deal.
Yeah.
And then that's kind of like the main through line of the movie.
Yeah, and that shit works.
Yeah, and then that's the best part of the movie.
Yeah.
And then there's Harry coming in.
Harry's tacked on.
He is definitely the weakest part. He's definitely the one that's like, well,
and he's really only there for the climax of the movie.
Yeah,
let's be honest.
He's there for the setup of them thinking they were going to be able to make a Sinister Six movie.
Too. Yeah.
It's like the movie was written with the intent of like creating more shit. So they're just like,
we have to.
we need
these characters.
Yeah, we need him in there.
Yeah.
But I like Electro a lot in the movie actually.
Yeah, that was never like really one of my problems,
Especially like after one scene that I like a lot of Dane DeHaan, you're not going to agree with me, but whenever he's ousted from Oscorp, and he's like, okay, like I know my way out, and then he goes and infiltrates Ravencroft, and he's like, making a deal with Electro. It's like,
I need you.
I'll break you out. You get me. I'll get you into Oscorp, or you get me into Oscorp, and then I'll get you Spider-Man, whatever, all that shit. And then he's like, why should I? And he's like, because I need you. And then like they're breaking. He's like, we don't have much time. He's like freaking out and zaps him.
Yeah.
Like I like that scene a lot.
I do too, actually.
That's the one scene in the movie where I can really get behind Dane DeHaan.
Oh, he makes a good villain.
Yeah.
No,
I can't stand to even look at the kid.
No, I agree with you, but like, and going back to that scene, you and I both were saying how stupid it was that the guy who was in charge now, where he's like fighting with the two security guards, and he's like, I know my way out. And he like cracks a smile. If I were that guy, I'd be like, no, escort him out, please.
Yeah,
because I don't trust him right now. So please, like, just
they just let him walk out, which is the weirdest thing.
Yeah, makes no sense. Idiot bad guy syndrome, I guess. Yeah. So I mean, I guess we talk about the climax of the movie.
Well, before we get to that, I want to say one more thing. So we say that Harry is tacked on, but we haven't even talked about like the characters that they were setting up in this movie too.
Oh, like Felicia.
Yeah, Felicia.
Oh, I forgot about her
as Black Cat, and BJ Novak
as Alistair
Smythe.
Yeah,
like.
Oh right.
Like they're like setting up all these characters, and then just like nothing happens. Like they're not.
See, I thought Smythe was more of a like a. Here you go.
Yeah, it's kind of an Easter egg.
Yeah, right.
But I mean, BJ Novak isn't a no-name guy.
Okay.
So like maybe.
Yeah.
And obviously Felicity Jones, they were planning to do something.
I forget. Smythe was he. He was like Doc Ock's right hand man, wasn't he?
He becomes
or something. I remember him from the cartoon.
Yeah.
I don't remember
like
what
Superior Spider-Man.
Or no, he actually becomes like, what's it called? He has like a big like walking like spider like chair thing.
Oh, okay.
But I forget like.
I thought he worked directly with one of the villains.
He might. I think he worked with Hobgoblin maybe.
Okay.
I'm thinking back to the cartoon, but like I'm.
Well, that's my
Smythe was in there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I think he worked with Hobgoblin
okay.
or Kingpin, one of the two.
Kingpin.
That's that's my guess.
Yeah. Yeah, he was like the science brains behind Kingpin.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's funny that they're like building all these characters up, and then it's like this house of cards that they've so precariously perched for this movie, and then after this one, it's like there's like nothing.
Well, I think the Green Goblin came in and took the base of the damn house of cards out.
What an ugly design!
Oh, it's terrible.
It was bad, and his laugh was so bad.
Yeah, that's not good.
It was like, like it wasn't even like menacing or anything like that. It was like a Tickle Me Elmo riding on a glider.
A dying battery tick.
Yeah.
Tickle Me Harry. I do think it's strange though that jumping to the climax of the movie that Gwen just like knows like the specs of the electric grid.
Yeah, she's like, I've studied the grid. It's like, when was it established?
Why would you study the electric grid?
You're not that type of scientist, right? Like,
do you think like at breakfast she's like eating and she's like, look at Max Dillon's electrical grid. Well, that's where like does she just study it like during breakfast or like breaks? She's like, oh, look at
the one scene where I thought maybe that could have been linked was whenever she was searching for him in the Oscorp database, because they had met on the elevator, and then like it was after Electro's appearance.
Yeah.
And he like obviously she connected the dots that they were the same guy.
Yeah.
And she was looking for him. I thought maybe that scene where it's like, oh, this is his proprietary, like he created the electrical grid. This is his thing. Like maybe that, but
Well, it was Max Dillon's design.
yeah, but they took it.
Right. So I don't know. Maybe it's just one of those things we didn't see, but
Yeah.
she could have found him, I think. I don't know.
Yeah.
So the whole Gwen Stacy at the end basically being killed by Green Goblin.
Actually killed by Peter Parker.
No, just not saved by people.
It's not saved. Like I still love that scene because like I've never felt that in a theater. Like that was one of the biggest emotional roller coasters I've ever had at that time.
Well, yeah, they're feuding the entire movie. Like basically the first scene of them in the movie is their breakup. And then like Peter's being a creep and following her. And then like we're following her and then we're following him. They reconcile and then they'll like, Gwen is basically like, I'm trying to move to England because I have an opportunity to study at Oxford. And that kind of flips Peter's world completely over.
Yeah.
And then they finally, like, after, like, they think they got everything all together, Peter's like, okay, like, I'll move to England with you. Like, we can be together. And, like, they finally get together. And then, like, everything that he was worried about, Peter was worried about the entire time happens. It's like, I'm not going to be able to keep you safe. And she dies because she was where she shouldn't have been.
And he was trying to get her to leave and she's like, no, I make my own decision, kind of to give him peace of mind.
Yeah. That's one thing that I feel like maybe works because it's like Peter can be like, well, he's going to blame himself no matter what.
Oh,
it's like she made her own decision to come. So,
yeah.
And they saved the day at first before Harry shows up.
Right.
And looks like a rag doll.
It looks so bad.
It's very bad.
Like people mock the Defoe goblin suit, but no, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That's classic. Maybe that's just because
that's Power Ranger shit right there.
Yeah, pretty much. Oh, so one thing I want to talk about. Why? So Norman died after like, what, 30, 50 years of having goblinitis?
Yeah, goblinitis.
And then he gets fucking goblinitis and then is like going to die like within 2 days after his dad like diagnoses him.
Yeah, why does Harry think he's gonna die after like a month of having goblinitis?
Yeah, I never understood that.
He acts like if he doesn't get Spider-Man's blood right away, that he's just like dead in the water. Yeah. But it's like it took your dad his entire life to die. You're not gonna die from goblinitis this quickly, buddy.
Yeah. Like honestly, like.
But they do say though that he is going to die immediately, isn't he?
Well, whenever he's ousted
just
from
because
Oscorp,
he thinks that.
Yeah, probably. Whenever he's ousted from Oscorp, the dude's like, "Oh, looks like you're halfway there," because he has a bit of the goblin on his neck. But like, like his dad was covered in it, and he had like the gross nails and everything. Like, I just don't get where Harry was coming from, thinking he was gonna die that quickly.
Yeah,
because like, he even has all the information about it, like in that cube that Norman gave him.
Right.
So like, why? That is one point of motivation that doesn't make sense for me. It could be because he's a young, irrational kid that he's like, I'm gonna fucking die. I need to get Spider-Man's blood.
Yeah.
It's just like,
Peter, give me Spider-Man's blood. You took his picture. What sense does that make? You took his picture. Oh, so that means I hang out with him on the weekends and ask him for vials of his blood?
Spider-Man. I took a picture of him, Harry, from a long way away. I don't know Spider-Man.
Yeah, which like there's like the other.
Like,
like,
not having coffee.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that's something that kind of carries over from the Raimi movies. Is like Harry always thinks that like Peter knows Spider-Man. He's like, how's your brother the Bug? And he's like, Harry, I take his fucking picture. Would you calm the fuck down? Are you still upset that your dad's dead? Like.
Yeah, I don't that's a weird like connecting line that Harry Osborne apparently always has, where it's like Peter takes pictures of Spider-Man, he obviously knows him.
Which like that's something that like Harry's also supposed to be smart.
To play,
And like that rationale where he's like, oh, you take his pictures so you're friends with him. What sense does that
Like
make?
the only reason that it makes sense is because nobody else gets any good pictures
well,
of
that's
Spider-Man.
what I was gonna say.
So it's like Peter is Spider-Man's photographer.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like maybe Peter's just a really good photographer. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just a weird line of thinking. I guess it would be kind of similar, like if a celebrity only let only one person was allowed to publish photos of them.
Yeah.
You'd be like, oh, so they know each other.
Right.
But
Well, I mean, we all know Spider-Man's photographer because that video of Tobey Maguire going, "Get out of the road!" If you haven't watched that video, watch that.
I haven't watched it.
Oh, it's hilarious. Literally him in a car with the window down going, "Get out of the road!"
yeah, some guy's like
Screaming.
blocking
Yeah.
some paparazzi's like in the way. But yeah.
Wow. So yeah, like we touched on, just like the first movie, the Gwen and
Oh,
Peter
it's the best
Parker.
part of the whole, like,
Yeah.
both of these. Which makes me wonder, like, if they would have made a third one,
Yeah.
would it have been any good? Because
Yeah.
Gwen isn't gonna be in it. Except she'd probably be in it in like his guilt visions like he
Yeah.
had in this one.
Do you think that it would have been her and Dennis Leary standing together, just like,
You
like
son
you know,
of a bitch.
like folded arms, just like instead of just like the disappointed face of Dennis Leary, just going, like instead it's both of them just shaking their head, like you let us die, motherfucker.
So one thing, couple things that are commonly forgotten about
This movie,
about
there's a lot of things I've forgotten about already.
Yeah. One of the deleted scenes is his father comes back, like he's alive.
What the fuck? I didn't hear this.
It's on the Blu-ray.
I had no
What?
idea.
Yeah, there's a deleted scene. He's like, Peter Parker is visiting, I think, Gwen's grave, and his fucking father just shows up.
Hey kid, you know, it's a Han Solo Kylo Ren moment. Turns around,
kid
there's
you
an
not.
unshaven Richard
I
Parker.
kid you not. I think he is unshaven. I kid you not. I think he might say that.
Hey kid,
Something like that. Yes.
Jesus Christ.
We'll watch it after this. Anyway.
Oh, I gotta see that.
Yeah. There's that, and then
I knew that there was Mary Jane
Yeah,
footage.
Shane
that
Woodley,
was the other thing.
Yeah.
That's never been released or anything.
There's pictures. Of
There is
her,
pictures,
but
I don't know if there's actually footage or not.
I don't think that there is. If it is, it's in Sony's archives.
Yeah, but yeah. So I don't. Who knows where they were going?
Yeah.
More parent bullshit because, well, that wasn't in like the actual movie, so they might have dropped it.
Yeah, thank God.
But yeah, that's a thing that could have happened.
Yeah, I
Her
don't.
mother died because she didn't have superior spider DNA, but I do.
And
Wouldn't
that's
that
the
be
part I don't
crazy?
understand. Like,
Wouldn't that be crazy if like
He fucking
Rich-
web slinged
yeah,
out of there.
Richard had like Spider-Man powers too. That'd be fucking nuts.
Well, I mean, it's kind of implied at that point. Like,
Well, yeah. I mean, he was in an airplane crash. Like,
Yeah.
you're not surviving that.
do you think he like fucking like Elastigirl like paddled like back to land? He's like his fucking speedboat.
I haven't watched the deleted scene. I don't remember exactly what he said.
Jesus.
I
That's
want to
crazy.
say that he knows that he's Spider-Man because it only
I
makes
mean, it could literally only be him. But
Yeah.
that's crazy. That is such a crazy idea. Why would they ever?
yeah.
That's insane.
I mean, it's a full scene that like, yeah,
Alex Kurtzman's like, what if? Richard
Well, I mean, they were clearly setting up the Sinister Six because, like, not only once do we see like the stuff in Oscorp in the ground floor, we
yeah.
see it twice.
That's the post-credit scene, right?
Well, it's actually a part of the movie because,
Oh, is it?
oh
Yeah, it's like it's the end of the movie.
yeah, because they break Paul Giamatti out of prison and
Right.
gives him the Rhino suit, but he walks past. It looks like it's just the
Vulture's wings, Doc Ock's tentacles,
and then the Rhino suit.
and the Rhino suit.
Yeah.
Is all we see.
And the glider was in another shot somewhere before, or
Yeah. Well, Harry's obviously used it, so.
yeah. Where did we see that though? Because that was also like a foreshadow. I think the
I mean, whenever Harry's looking at the stuff,
yeah,
like he sees the footage of Electro, and then
the glider was with the Doc Ock arms and the Vulture.
It might have been locked up in there.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. I think we see it too.
Yeah. In fact, no, you're right, because it's the glider and the suit,
Mhm.
Ock's tentacles, Vulture's wings, then the Rhino.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's 4 out of the 6 right there.
So one thing that I find funny is like, so Harry injects himself with the venom of the spider venom, and
Right.
then it fucks him like up completely. He turns into Goblin Man, and then he gets in the self-regenerating suit, and it's like constantly healing him so he doesn't die. But after he gets knocked out at the bell tower and he's thrown in Ravencroft, he doesn't have the suit on, and he looks normal, like normal Harry Osborne. And it's like, oh, you're looking better. It comes and goes. It's like, what? You had goblinitis to the max. Why are you not like dying right now?
Yeah.
I don't know. There's some real big inconsistencies with the movie.
When they announced that they were scrapping everything, I was actually pretty upset about it. But in hindsight, I'm like, thank God.
I mean,
it would
have been a shit show.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's be honest, it just would have been a shit show.
Yeah.
I mean, is this the smallest amount of time that they took to reboot Spider-Man? Because it was 2016 that Captain America Civil War came out, where the MCU used Spider-Man, which was only 2 years after 2014. And then the last Sam Raimi movie was 2009. So
2007.
So 3 years.
2007 was Spider-Man 3.
You
I
sure?
remember it. I was in 7th grade.
Yep.
So it was 4 years, 4 or 5 years. So yeah, it was only 2 years, and they're like, "Well, Spider-Man again."
Yeah, no, it was very quick. Like, oh hey, yeah, we're rebooting.
And now we've got No Way Home to look forward to.
Yeah, so that was pretty much the whole. God bless you.
Thank you.
The whole intention.
Fucking look at me like that.
That's the whole intention of me picking
Yes.
this. Was in preparation
I appreciate it because I haven't watched these in a while.
I haven't seen him since it came out.
Not that Andrew Garfield's going to be in the movie.
Yeah,
much.
he's definitely not.
we in all seriousness, what are your guys' thoughts on that?
I mean,
They're
so
both in
I'll
it.
preface this. I haven't watched the second trailer yet. I'm avoiding it until I can see the movie.
Well, there's nothing in there. I'll tell you
Yeah.
that. Nothing.
But I've been of the opinion that they both are going to be in it since basically since the announcement of the name of and the concept was like,
yeah.
I've basically been of the opinion that they're going to be in it.
Do you remember that when Twitter tweeted it
Yeah.
and then quickly deleted it and everybody's like, yo, Twitter just spoiled it?
Yeah. I would be shocked if they weren't in it.
Yeah.
I would let's just say that.
It really doesn't make sense. Why would you bring back all the previous villains?
Why would you bring back villains from both movies?
Right. That's what
If
I'm
you're
saying.
not going
Yeah.
to.
It makes no sense
Yeah.
if they don't.
No. You have Electro. You have Lizard. You have fucking Goblin. You have Ock. Did I
Yeah.
already say Ock?
No.
Okay. You have Sandman.
Yeah.
Why?
That's literally all Toby. And then there's Electro and Lizard.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which
Which
literally have them
Which there's only one other villain in this series, aside from Rhino.
Yeah. They're not gonna
But they're not gonna fucking put him.
I would love that.
Oh my god! Could you imagine that? Like,
all.
I don't want to say it because you haven't watched it yet, but I want to say it to Mike.
I know what you're gonna say.
The end part of that
Yeah,
second trailer.
yeah.
Could you just imagine like sitting down in the corner on the street, just like him just like
And
trotting
that's a
along?
talking point I'd like to bring up, but I'm not going to because I forgot he didn't see it.
That'd be fucking hysterical. Could you imagine that?
That'd be nuts.
He's like trying to like run up, like to get.
And I guess I won't
Just get
speculate
involved.
on other characters. But
Back to our Amazing Spider-Man discussion. I think it's pretty much ran its course at this point. I don't have much else to say about
yeah,
it.
no,
I would have loved to have seen. Well, I would like to know where they thought they were going to take this.
I would like to see a rough
because
script or something.
it's such a it's such a mess at the end of the second.
Oh yeah,
I would have just loved to see where they would have tried to take it.
and that's like I used to not quite understand the I call it hatred. There was hatred.
Yeah,
for
people do not like this movie.
freaking movie.
You don't like this movie.
I didn't like it. Like, it's fine. I'll watch it.
Yeah.
I just don't care for it as a whole because it's a mess.
It is a mess.
Yeah, I
It's
blindly...
even more of a mess than Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 3.
Oh, yeah.
It is. Because at least like Spider-Man 3, like there's one thing that you could have fixed in that movie that would have made it all the better. No. Leave Venom.
I think you should take Venom out.
I think you should take Venom out.
Nope.
Yep.
Nope.
I also rewatched it recently.
Yeah.
I think with the taking out of Venom, I think it would have worked perfectly. And
No,
then you would have changed the
would've
third act a
worked.
little bit, but
It would have worked, but if had you put the character that I suggested, there would have been better motivation for that character,
Yeah,
and it
totally.
would have worked better.
Instead of Eddie Brock being
Yeah.
Venom.
If it had been John Jameson, it would have been a creative choice,
Oh,
which
yeah.
would have been a hell of a lot cooler, because it would have been unique.
That would have been Mary Jane's boyfriend.
Yeah,
Well,
or
like,
ex-fiance.
Well, yeah,
basically.
coming after Peter.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
that would have made a hell of a lot more sense. Movie would have been better.
I agree with that.
which
If anything, I'd take Sandman out.
well, Sandman's
he's
a great villain.
He's
He
a great
is.
character.
He is, but
He's a great character.
but
and he's also directly related to what happens with Uncle
no,
Ben's killing.
no,
so.
he is. But and like I said, I wouldn't
Which
take
is
any
funny,
of them.
as
out.
I say, every villain in that
Yeah.
movie is so intimately related to Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And like,
I guess
even
that
the
trilogy is too.
they
really.
shoehorn in Eddie Brock to be related to Spider-Man so. First of all, he makes him lose his job at the Bugle, and then he steals his girlfriend. Like, yeah.
Yeah, Peter Parker's an asshole to Eddie Brock.
Peter Parker's an asshole in that movie.
Yeah.
Bully Maguire.
Yeah.
Anyway, ratings for
Yeah,
The
we're not
Amazing
here for that.
Spider-Man 2.
5.
I was going to give it a 5, but since I like it more than you, I'm gonna give it a 5.5.
Well, fuck you too.
So with all the stuff I do like, because I do genuinely like this movie, there is a lot of bullshit. I'm gonna go 6, just because I love that they went and actually did the Gwen Stacy death, like to put that to screen. Like, I still get goosebumps even right now thinking about like
Her neck
that.
snapping in slow motion.
Well, the experience of in the movie theater of just being like, holy shit, they did that. Like, because in the moment you don't know what happened. Like,
It looks like he might have been able to save her,
right?
and then, but it's like,
Yeah,
and the fact that it's like,
but in the
slow
moment you
motion-
don't know. Like, did I just hear like her head hit, her neck snap? Like, what just happened?
And then actually, I've watched it frame by frame
yeah,
to like see, and it almost looks like she just smashes the back of her head off the car.
Well,
Well,
that's what happens.
yeah, that's what happened.
She gets caught, and then she just goes, and her head hits the concrete.
I mean, if her head didn't hit, she would have broke her neck anyway.
Oh yeah.
Like, just the momentum. So
But like in the trailer, I knew she was gonna die because when it shows her falling, I was like, oh, that's when Gwen Stacy dies.
Yeah. The one part of that scene I don't like is whenever the web becomes like the hand.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
that's a little cheesy.
it's a little bit much.
So yeah, I was gonna bring that up. So like going back real quick on this, when Harry shows up as the Goblin and gets between Peter and Gwen, like he does this,
He does it like 3 times.
and he goes, and like I want Peter to go, yeah, no shit, Sherlock. Like, come on, you could have figured this out.
Yeah, and he has like jagged teeth. When you said I can't have Spider-Man's blood, I couldn't have your blood.
Yeah.
He was supposed to be my friend.
We were supposed to be friends, Spider-Man. yeah, but like the fact that he does that, he's like, because I knew it was coming when we were watching it, but I wanted to see it again where he just goes,
He literally does it like 3 times. And then he's like, oh, I get it now.
yeah, I wanted that to like continue for like 6 more, like back and forth before he goes, hey, like, yeah. Wait a minute.
You know Peter Parker.
Wait a minute. I know
Yeah.
you. Don't you working on Corp? Yeah. Should have been voiced by that kid from the Polar Express.
Oh no.
Don't you work at Oscorp?
Mandark.
Yeah, man.
Anyway, that was our talk about the Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2.
It's almost as long as our Sam Raimi
I
trip.
think that our Sam Raimi one went for another like 20 to 30 minutes.
Yeah, honestly, I think that one was 2 hours long.
Yeah.
It was close.
Yeah, it was very.
I think it was 145.
Yeah.
Anyway, we have another recommendation coming down the pipe. I hope it's Christmas themed.
Oh shit!
You're not prepared?
No, I was not prepared.
Give us.
Okay. Okay. Because I just watched one of these recently, I want to revisit them all in the holiday spirit.
Uh-oh.
We're gonna watch the Tim Allen Santa Claus trilogy.
Okay.
Oh, wow. All right.
All right, great. I watched these. Well, I watched the first and second one at least once every Christmas season, so I don't hate the third one, but it's obviously we'll save it for that. Anyway, so if you don't want to be spoiled for Tim Allen's The Santa Claus trilogy, make sure to watch it before our next episode. Thank you for watching or listening to our Spider-Man discussion. We sure enjoyed having it. Make sure to tune in probably, 2 weeks from now?
Yeah.
I guess it would be next week after this is released. Next week for our Spider-Man No Way Home discussion, we'll presumably be having one.
Yes, we are.
Maybe I'll watch it.
I
Make
will
sure,
destroy you.
make sure to stay tuned for that. We'll leave you out of it. I don't care.
Okay.
Yeah. Make sure to watch Santa Claus before next episode, and we'll see you in the next one, guys. Happy holidays and Merry Spider-Miss.
Whip.